We can just chill on live for like 5 minutes before we like actually talk about stuff too.
Very good idea. Let's chill. It's bloody hot.
So it's live.
It's live. I've started. I've given context.
It is hot. Air conditioner's running.
All right, we've got 2 concurrent viewers.
Well, one of them's me, so.
We got 1 concurrent viewer. Thank you to whoever that is. Oh, actually, I've just got to tweet it out.
All right.
Going live now on Twitter. And making sure it's the right thingy-me-bob link. Okay. Uh-oh. Alrighty.
Already got Shell here.
Tweet.
Shell.
Tweet.
Hello.
Okay. Is that yours? Welcome. We need you as a guest soon.
Yep. Let's do it next week. Well, we have the Well, we have the thing, the Roadcaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
My people will talk to your people.
What if they're the same people?
Someone's going to be talking and we're going to get her on the podcast regardless. It's going to be great. Thank you for popping in. All right. So, Francis.
Hello.
Hello. What's been happening, my friend? A lot of Francis Lee, content creation, everything.
Unfortunately, there hasn't been much content creation, I must say.
It's all right.
Yeah, I've been programming a lot, and that has been taking all of my energy.
Yeah.
Well, all of my time, really. I do want to find a way to be able to do that and also build the content though. I think that's kind of the next thing I'm considering in terms of creating content.
Yeah.
So I think what needs to happen there is I need to find a way to be more aware during the day about what I learn, because I think that's what I want to post, things that I learn during the programming day.
Yeah.
At least that's a way I can envision building a habit of creating content. You know, find at least one thing I've learned today, find a way that I can post it.
Yep.
I don't know whether it's just text or whether I make an image or whether I'm overcomplicating it to begin with. And then, building a habit of posting a single thing every day. Yep. And then just seeing where that goes.
You know how that starts? You post one thing a week. not something every day.
That's true. Maybe I'm being too ambitious.
It's going to be 100% increase.
just one thing.
Just one thing. No, that's cool, man. I mean, it's that habit. It's all that habit stuff.
Yeah.
It's bloody tricky.
Yeah.
You overthink it. I'm doing it myself with fucking YouTube shit. But it's, so how could we, in what format do you think? Because there's going to be a bunch of people in the same boat. Yeah. They're busy as frick, right? I'm trying to not swear in the first like half an hour. Like 30, like 3 minutes or whatever in the video. I've been going deep in YouTube. So,
okay. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm trying to censor myself. People will be busy as fiddlesticks to, they'll feel like they're too busy to post content, right? And I guess that's what it feels like potentially. That's what I'm hearing. It's just like I'm just doing this stuff. But that's the best thing, because you're doing this stuff. It's better than not doing anything and be like, oh, what do I post? It's like you probably got a bunch of stuff that you've already learned. It's just I think like I am busy, but at the same time, like, you know, I'm always going to be busy. So you need to make time, right? Like no matter what, like that's not going to change. Yep. So I think, that's really been the thing I'm considering, is like, how do I realize in the moment that I'm doing something interesting? Do I like write it down, you know, or like, cause I guess this is something that's, I think, a skill that you've learned quite well. Is that when you're drawing, you know how to recognize that you're having an aha moment. Yep. And then you can kind of like,
I don't know what your process is for noting it down, or whether you're able to just remember it, but then that can turn into content later, right? And that's something I'm considering. Like I'm trying to figure out is like, okay, when I'm having an aha moment, how do I know I'm in the moment?
Yeah.
And then how do I know that it's interesting enough to other people that it's worth sharing?
Yeah. I have 2 ways of doing it. One, I'll remember because it was like a key point. Oftentimes, instead of like from a content perspective, with these aha moments, you kind of realize after the fact. You don't really necessarily realize why you're in it because you're in it. You're like, oh, this is great. This is great. This is great. I'm not necessarily thinking about content. It's usually the pain before that that I'm taking note of. It's like, for example, in this last post that I did of like The Last of Us, backgrounds. Got fucking fiddlesticks and no clue of how to really do backgrounds. Like I don't, like I can figure it out, right? But I don't have like a natural, like, oh, this is how I would do a character or something. So that was a point of friction. So then I was like, ding, that's going in the sketch note this week. Right? So it's almost noting down those pains. I think those pains are easier to recognize up front. And I would literally just have a quick capture note. I have 3 places that I'll have it. I have Apple Notes, Notion, and Obsidian. I've got quick capture things in all 3 of those. So whatever's quicker. If I just got my phone with me, Apple Notes is usually the fastest to open. Bing, 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 done. Right? Same with if you're going to ever start up a newsletter. Same thing if I'm watching a video, copy that timestamp, a little bit of context for me later, and then just throwing it in a quick capture. Don't have to organize it then. Then I'll come back later and then organize it and then expand on it and blah, blah, blah. But a big thing for that is making sure that it's going to make sense to your future self.
That's the hard part.
Because that is tricky. Because I've written notes that make they make all the sense in the world in the moment. And I come back like a week later, I'm like, what is this shit? What does that mean, Ben? You idiot. Like, it just doesn't make any contextual sense. So I might even take a screenshot.
Yeah.
Now I've started to take screenshots.
That's a good idea.
It takes that. It is a little bit of a cognitive extra step. But that's why I think maybe while you're in that point of friction, you're already in that friction, take a beat, screenshot, this is where I'm stuck. Because I think that's the most interesting as well, the before and after. This is my issue. It's like that 3-story structure. It's like, here's my issue, here's what I did to get it done, and here's the resolution, right? And it's that big sort of like, it's kind of like a mini story arc in itself.
So are you like noting down the friction, or are you noting down things you notice? Are you even noting down like the content ideas in the moment, or
not even the content? It's just literally the friction. So I'll because then that will spark my memory of how I resolved it. Because I'm going to do it again next one. So I want to remember that anyway. So if I'm going to do a background in the next piece, these are all the things that I'm going to try and remember because I'm noting them down probably anyway. So I'll say, okay, backgrounds were tricky. Note that down. Rob Ruppel actually is how he was like a guy that I looked at a lot for inspiration. Note him down. Then that will put me on a spark to then go and check out his work again, or if I've already written notes about him, which I already had, I've got like a full note thing on his work, take bits and pieces from that key thing, and then it just creates itself. It's that like not heavy lift. It's like over time, and patterns arise all the time. And it might even be things that you already know, but you didn't do, or you forgot and you were reminded of. Those are good things as well, because it shows that like, you're human. You're not like a fucking robot. You know everything all the time. It's like, with backgrounds, breaking things down into simple shapes. I say that to my students every single time.
Yeah, that's your like brand
almost. Simple freaking shapes.
Right.
But for some reason, I started the background off trying to get all detailed with everything first. It's just like, why would that be any different with the background? So that's an interesting thing. So I recommend, whatever note-taking thing that you're, that's at the disposal, even a fucking piece of paper.
So you're noticing when you're having friction. So when things are taking longer than they usually do.
Yeah.
Or when you're like feeling that pain of not really sure what to do.
Like, I don't know what to do here. Because there was a point literally, and this is the positive of streaming this as well. I can go back if I wanted to and look at key points. Because I remember I literally on stream, I was like, I don't know what to do right now. I've made a mistake. I've got the composition in a certain way that's kind of painted me into unfully intended, painted me into a corner because I had Joel and Ellie, one in front of the other, but I had the lighting coming in a certain direction. So Ellie's face is going to be occluded by shadow. So then I'm just like, that's not good. And then it's like, okay, do I do a background to make them stand out? And da-da-da-da-da. Like it's, I'm turning those like annoying things that would usually frustrate the crap out of me into like content that's going to benefit me. So it might even be worth just throwing the camera on. Just for yourself.
Just so you have like a record.
And then you could even make it easy for yourself and like actually write the timestamp.
Yeah.
And just be like 15:35, can't figure out this database thing with blah, 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 blah. It's frustrating me. And then you can go through and actually see yourself figure it out. Right? You don't have to talk to anyone or anything like that. Just stream it for yourself. That's a more extreme way of doing it. And sometimes I don't note this stuff down. I'll just have it in my mind. Like now I can just recall what I had struggles with, but there were particular things like with likeness, backgrounds, composition, lighting. Like there's some things that gives me fuel to like write the sketch note, which I'll be writing tonight. But yeah.
That's a good idea because I like, I'll be programming and then, when you're programming, you will find a problem that'll take you like 4 hours to fix because it's like a little thing.
Yep.
And then it would be cool if there was more output for that problem than just the problem being fixed, you can help other people by sharing what you've learned or
definitely
that kind of thing.
And the coolest thing is you could even clip things where you've like, I know what I did wrong. And then you get that part and you put it in a carousel or you put it in a Twitter thread. It's like, here's the point, here's the moment that fixed it all. And then dot points. And then here's like a 2-minute video of me actually clipped together. I use this, da-da-da-da-da. Boom, run it. It builds, happy days sort of thing. Like it's like the grand finale. It is a bit of work, right? There's friction to getting that set up and being conscious of actually doing that. But I think the benefits outweigh not doing that if content is the goal. Is getting yourself out there more.
I think that's probably the first step I need to do is build the skill to be able to notice something in the moment and then build the habit of noting it down in some way where my future self can recognize it.
Yeah. Because like you're into journaling there for a little while. Are you still doing that?
Not so much.
Yeah. Or you could like try and pick that habit back up and just do it in that way at the end of the day. And then that could be your sort of first steps into noting things down, and while doing that, throw that into like Typefully, just as a draft. So then the tweets are basically already there. So maybe that's your like main note taking thing. So it's like super rough. It's just straight. It's already in there, and then you can go back and edit it at the point that you want to post it.
Do you have like a stages? So you're like you're drawing, and then. Do you have like content stage after that, or like how mixed are these things? Because I'm like, I guess why I ask is because I'm considering like, okay, so I'm doing the programming. Do I need to like set aside time at the end of the day to collect what I've learned and then create content out of it?
Let it sit. Let it sit
more?
for like a day or so. Like I want to get into the cadence, at least for myself, maybe once every 3 days posting something. Right. And I want to get that closer. Like if I can hire editors soon, that'll be fantastic to like get more stuff out there. But letting it sit a couple of days can actually and then come back with fresh eyes. It tends to help me out a lot instead of doing it in the moment. I think separating those, because then you've got that context switching, and at the end of the day, you're usually wrecked.
Yeah, that's
and you
true.
don't really want to do much else because you've been figuring out the problems.
Yeah.
So let it sit 1 or 2 days, come back to it, and then you got energy to then focus on the content and how you're going to present it in a way that's digestible to other people.
Yeah, because that's what I find is like when I notice something like that, like I notice a problem that I'm facing and I figure out a way to solve it, and then I want to create content from it.
Yeah.
or I get the idea that, oh, this could be a content piece. My motivation is usually highest in the moment. But then like, I know if I chase after it, I haven't done it much. So I don't know how much time it's going to take. It could throw me off like my whole day.
Yeah.
And then there's like, oh, I have to context switch to do it.
Yeah.
And then I have to come back. So it's like that. Those are kind of like the barriers I feel.
Yeah. That's why I think just like saving it for later. Cool. This is a great idea. Boom, 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 done. I've actually picked up Notion more so because Obsidian, that's like my throw everything in there. The Notion is like the next step of organization, databases and like to-do lists essentially, and like processes, and then more context and that kind of stuff. So that's how I separate that out. I'll either throw it in Obsidian or whatever my quick capture is, then I'll take it into Notion and then throw it in there. Like, and that's actually helped. But you've got, I think this is a muscle that you've got to work, is identifying these things. Like once I decided that, okay, I'm going to, it's like a frame of mind that you've got to get into and consciously be like, all right, where is the value here? And then your brain almost like switches into like, oh, that would be a good idea. And it'll be in the most randomest times. You're on a walk, you're in the gym, you're like, oh, fuck. Like if anyone catches me out of the gym, I'm most likely just sitting, either listening to like YouTube stuff about content creation or art or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Throw it in Notion, quick capture, blah, 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 blah. And then I'll come back like a couple of days later, a week later, and be like, oh shit, yeah, that was a good idea. I completely forgot about that. So yeah, but it is a real muscle to work. Yeah. And it's not going to come naturally. It didn't come naturally to me. Because I look at my old sketch notes, I'm like, this fucking, what is this shit? I don't know how anyone got any value out of this absolute fucking nonsense. And it took me forever to do as well. But now it's just like I could do that in like an afternoon. But I wouldn't want to, because now my bar for quality has gotten so much. I know it was only a year ago. So it's something that people don't talk about much, I don't think, is that like the ideation. Yeah, I think that's one of the things, like I think I need to kind of steady myself, or like just stop myself from getting overzealous in terms of like the ambition of what I want the content to be. Yeah. And then just focus more on like the actual like beginning, notice that content is there, at least write down what your content should be instead of thinking about, all the systems you're going to have in place. Dude. But I guess that's the fun about it. That's the fun part to think about, even though it's the system. Yeah. You and I are very similar in that way, I think. Because like even me with this YouTube stuff, like we can get into this later, but the dopamine hit I get from building a system that saves me like 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day is so fantastic. I get such a hit of like, whoa, this is great. Yeah. All the things I can do. It's even if it takes you like 2 days or like 3. Exactly. I spent a full day figuring out After Effects scripts in their weird, poorly documented language. Like it's JavaScript, but it's their like subset of, or like it's all class based as well, like object orientated, where I'm used to like functional stuff. And it's like, all right, and it's just to like get a shape or an object or a layer to slide in and slide out automatically with a click of a button. How long does that take me? Not very long, but I do that the most often. I have to do 4 actions. I've got to put a keyframe at the beginning, zoom it in, keyframe, then for the particular length of time, put the same keyframe in there and then drag it out. So that was kind of worth it for me to figure that out. But there's other things that just weren't worth it. And I spent like a day on it. But I was just happy about doing that. Like and that's the thing, like I think you got to embrace that a little bit. Yeah, I enjoy the process of creating the content, like not even like putting stuff out. It's just like the whole stuff around it. Yeah, for me, a lot of the like joy, the joy is in those kind of moments. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah. Like I want to automate this whole thing, but I don't want to buy something to automate it. I want to figure out just for me. That'd be cheating, and it costs money. And right now I'm frugal Freddy, and I just want to figure it out myself. Probably doesn't make sense from an opportunity cost standpoint, but it's It's the real fun part, because I figured out that I could use something called dynamic links in Premiere Pro and After Effects, so I don't have to take the step of exporting the After Effects composition, exporting that into a file, and then putting that into Premiere Pro. I could literally just go into Premiere Pro, open After Effects comp, and then it's in there. And then if I update it in After Effects, then it updates automatically. I'm just like, oh man, dude. And that saved me like a frick ton of time. That was like 2 days ago. And I was just like, oh, this is the best thing ever. But then I'm thinking like, oh, now Adobe's got me even tighter in its grasp. I'm just like, fuck.
Well, for a lot of those things, like you don't know how long it's going to take to automate or to build the automation. No. And two, you don't know how big the benefit's going to be.
Exactly.
So you almost like have to do it to figure out whether it's worth continuing to figure it out.
Yeah, you've got to do the long way first. That's what I'm finding with this YouTube video. I'm doing everything the longest shit way to just get the experience of doing it. And I want to cut this whole process down to at least like a quarter in the next couple of weeks, a quarter of a time of doing it. Because it's like, okay, set up all the templates and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's that's the fun of it.
Yeah,
I think it's the whole thing, you know, and hopefully soon for you, the money coming through. We're doing this stuff, you know, like it's that's a big part of it as well. It's figuring out financially, because that's been a real mental shift for me. Is there's now a direct correlation between me automating something and getting money at the other end of it from, like, say, a post or a sketch note and that kind of thing. So it makes more sense for me at the moment to think about automations even more in like the process. And I'm in that kind of stage of content creation, at least I find it at the moment. It's like systems.
Yeah.
Because I've dropped the ball with Make Now, Think Later social posts, because I've had to focus on my stuff to then make money, figure out the systems, so then I can sort of feed Make Now, Think Later into it, which isn't making any money at the moment. But yeah, systems is the big thing for me at the moment, which you can easily slip into at the very beginning.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of our challenge, is like how to not get into the system part of it in the beginning. Yep. Save that for once you've at least validated it, or, you know, found a better way to know that you're going to get some value out of doing it. Yeah,
because there's a lot of these. No, I don't want to. I don't want to keep going on about YouTube, but it's just like top of mind right now.
No, let's go into it. Like, where are we at? What's coming up?
YouTube video.
A YouTube video.
Week. It's set in stone. It's set in digital stone right now. It's dropping next week. A first proper YouTube video. The culmination of all my probably months of research on YouTube. And it's probably going to flop. And I'm okay with that. I've calmed myself about it, because I've got to build up a library. Because I was listening to a podcast. There's this someone in Samir. They're two content creators that started YouTube about 4 years ago or something like that. It reminds us very much of us too. And I think we could actually model a lot of our stuff on what they've done. They started YouTube and they were making like no money on the beginning, but they were just consistent with it. And what they're finding is YouTube is one of the most unique platforms, because as you build evergreen content, it's there forever, right? You're basically building up this library that people can discover and keep coming back to. Whereas at the moment, my issue is Instagram and social. It's so fleeting. It's like post, cool, got a bit of money, figure out the next thing. Post, bit of money, figure out the next thing. And it's like an energy game for me. It's like I've only got so many hours in a day where I can actually mentally get stuff done. So if I can now sink time into this, knowing that it's almost like an investment, like an appreciating asset over time. And that was like a very interesting way to think about it. And it kind of chilled me out a little bit about, well, this one's got to hit. Doesn't matter if this one hits. What you want to do is build that library of really high quality content. And I've finally gotten to the point, I think, like I'm noticing things in the content creation process. There's a point where you're like, okay, I've got the idea. start putting things together in it, and you're like, oh, this is da da da. But then there's a point where you watch it back and you're like, huh, I'm starting to get excited about putting it out. It's like, oh, this is valuable. This is cool. Like I would be happy. I can start to see where I'd be happy putting this piece of content out. And I think getting to that point of excitement, it's like, oh, I can't wait to show people of this. I'm starting to see glimpses of that now, which makes the whole process enjoyable. So I think I'm trying to figure out how to close that gap at the beginning. And I think, again, systems, getting things in quick, building templates and that kind of stuff to get to that point, getting better at script writing, understanding hooks and we could go deep into this stuff like at certain points in time. Like, but I'm also trying to 80-20 it and not worry about the weird little things, like saying certain things at certain times at this point in the video.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out in the information space.
That stuff almost is like, people say that stuff because it's like it's kind of tangible. It's almost like, oh, what time do I post on Instagram? What hashtags do I use on Instagram? It's the same thing. I think if the content's not there, none of that stuff matters whatsoever. It's a fascinating process, and it's like, I'm getting excited about committing to this. Maybe once every week and a half probably is what's going to take me at the beginning.
I think what's cool about it is that it's not like, it sounds like it's not so much about the content of the video, but it's like almost like you've researched all this stuff, and now this is like your take on it, on like your take on how to do a YouTube video, and it's like your experiment of like figuring out whether all this stuff you've learned works. And your like curation of all the stuff that's you've consumed, and the stuff you've been like, nah, not really, but like, it's like, oh yeah, that could work for me. And then like you're really like honing in on what's going to work for you. Which is going to be cool.
And I want to show like my personality. Like the most fun part was the B-roll, right? So I got the normal face to camera. I don't want to be YouTuber-y, but there is a point where you have to turn up the way that you talk on the camera, because you can sound like you're just so bored without realizing it. So there's a little bit of a performance in that sense, but the B-roll is putting like little jokes that fit. It's not just shoehorning jokes in. It's like trying to figure out, like I've got a part in there where, so there's this thing called the Loomis method, right? And I said this thing in the sort of A-roll, like the face to camera, the talking head, where it's like I was having so much trouble trying to fit the stylized peg into the Loomis hole. So Loomis is like Andrew Loomis. It's like he's an artist, and he wrote these seminal books on constructural drawing, like how to draw, particularly the head, right, is what people talk about a lot. And I was like, I had this real disconnect between stylization and doing my own thing versus this really structural, more realistic, based on real people kind of thing. There was like a gap there, right? And I said this thing where I'm trying to fit this stylized peg into the Loomis hole. I'm just like, that sounds a bit weird. All right, I'm going to play that up. So then it like cuts, and there's a camera over the shoulder. I'm just like I break the fourth wall sort of thing. Like I'm like, music stops and everything. I'm just like, and then it just continues on.
That's cool.
So it's just like little things that's where I can have fun.
I
also did where I broke my light in production where I was talking about like, and I'm trying to think about, okay, what would like retention, what makes this interesting is like, how can I put my personality and have fun with it, is where I was like, I felt like art was becoming more of a gamble when I was like, the drawing sessions were becoming more of a gamble. It was like, I hope this is going to be good. And then I did a B-roll of the camera looking down. I got 2 cards, and I was just like, and then I cut out pieces of paper, drew like bad drawing day. So bad was on one card, drawing day was on the other, and I had me look at it. It was like bad drawing day, and then a B-roll of me, just like, fuck. Just like fun little things like that. It shows my personality. The information's quality, I think. It's what I use, right? But it's making it less dry. More entertaining, and the process of making that entertaining, I'm finding is fun as well. So I'm just that kind of stuff I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know if it's going to work. And then it's like, where do I put this? Like, how do I make money from the sponsored post, the sponsored part? I've yet to do that. I've got a part where I'm like, first a note from our sponsors, and I'm going to be like, hey, I'm the sponsor. Check out my Gumroad. Like, I want to cap it to like maybe 10 seconds just to keep it so people don't skip over it. But yeah, it's just all these little things that I keep iterating over and over and over again. But in doing this first video, I've now made myself like templates where I can just plug and play this format, at least for a period of time, just so I can get quality content out there without it taking me weeks and weeks to edit the thing, to then hopefully get the funds up to then hire an editor, share all those templates with them, and then away they go. I do the A roll, I do the B roll. They know where to splice that in. I review it, and away I go, sort of thing. But it's been really good fun. Stressful?
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, me too. It's been very stressful as well. Like all those thoughts of like, oh, is anyone even going to watch this? This is like a big waste of time. Where's my, like, do I have a unique voice in this thing? Like, who cares what I think? Like, oh, it's got to be great, this first one. It's just all these things are coming back from when I first started Instagram. And it's like, I can empathize a lot with, I mean, where I was like a year and a half ago. It's just all coming back, right? And I want to get rid of that really quick, but it's there. It's really, really strong. Every single procrastination thing that my brain does has like crept up. It's like my anxiety's crept up to stop me. My, I should really go to the gym now. Okay, yeah, I'll go to the gym and then I'll come back and then I'll start. It's just like all these things to try and stop me from actually putting the thing out there. And I think that's what a lot of people go through as well, just with content in general. If you don't have momentum. Instagram, it feels weird if I don't post now. I've got it to that point where it's like every 3 days I get that itch. I'm like, I've got to get something going, got to get something out there, right? I want to get that feeling with YouTube as soon as possible without burning out.
Yeah, I guess that's the hard part, right?
That is the hard part.
Yeah, because
so I've got to balance it.
Yeah, you're like deep in the weeds of it, and it's very easy to just spend a lot of time without considering what the time is.
Yeah.
And before you know it, the day's over.
Yeah.
You want to keep going.
That's it.
Yeah.
It sucks because it gets to that point. It's like, all right, then I've got to make dinner. And after dinner, I'm like, oh, I'm in a food coma. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I can't have a coffee to pep me back up. All right, maybe I'll go for a walk. And then just, yeah. So, but I was having a chat to Christian Nee, which I hopefully will get him on this podcast soon. And he's like, we've been talking a lot about content. Like we catch up every week. And he's kind of given himself, like we're talking about what goals can we set? It's like, all right, 100K subs within this year. That's kind of like my arbitrary goal. It's like a vanity metric goal. I'm giving myself that. Just like, fuck it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything, but that's like my little, like, what is it? Guilty pleasure. It's like, all right, my guilty pleasure vanity metric that I'm going for.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking, okay, what's a real metric that I can focus on? I think it's the pieces of content that I'm proud of.
That's a good
so
one.
you've got the number of pieces of content that are out there. I mean, I could shit out like 10 pieces of content that are like half-assed. Yeah, I'll get some subscribers maybe, but am I proud of them? I'd rather, mix that number, that quantitative number of content in the year with how quality it is and how much of a pull I have, or like a push or a pull to like get it out there because I'm excited to show people, even if it doesn't do well. Right. And that's what I'm trying to think of with my Instagram posts as well. More so, how excited am I at the point of posting to get this out and show people and get feedback and just be happy that I've shared a good piece of information that was just sitting in my head.
That's a good point because it's very easy to forget that feeling. Because I know that feeling, like, you know, the feeling of feeling excited of something that you've built or you've produced and you've put your care into, and then finally it's time to put it out there.
Yeah.
And then there's also like, okay, how do I avoid getting into the perfectionistic trap when I'm doing that also, which can be an issue. Yeah. But then it's also like, it's very easy to just be in the habit of producing content and then forget that is a feeling that you like to have when you produce content. Yeah. And that, you know, that's, I don't know if it's the reason that you're producing content, but it's like something that really gives you pleasure or like joy or whatever it is.
Dopamine. Little dopamine center and you're like, yeah.
Like that's what you want.
But I've noticed I'm using different types of content. Not every piece of content is going to give the highest level of that feeling. I'm using faster pieces of content that are still valuable as sort of like momentum pieces. I'm thinking like the faster like tutorial like the time lapses, but me talking over the top of them. Those take no time at all. They're not particularly something I'm super duper proud of. Like they're not groundbreaking anywhere in my mind. Not like I'm saying any of my stuff's groundbreaking, but you know what I mean? Like it's, I'm not like, yeah, I can't wait for you to see this, but it's something that's like, okay, this is a momentum piece. A bit of a rut. This doesn't take long. It's better that that's out there than waiting. So there's like momentum pieces as well, which I can see myself having with YouTube, whether it is a full time lapse of like 10-minute time lapse, but I'm talking about a topic. Just like, look, this week it was tricky. I didn't feel like getting out. It's more like just thoughts about stuff and like learning how to learn and just stuff that I like talking about, still to the same audience. So it shouldn't affect the algorithm or anything YouTube wise, but it's just for me to give myself, okay, cool, something's out there, the momentum, because momentum's huge, man. Like it's everything. It honestly is one of the biggest things I've found is just keeping that momentum going. Whereas I said before, it feels weird if I don't post on Instagram now or post anything. It's, momentum it is really big.
Yeah, I have the feeling when I go to gym, right? Like I can't not go to gym or I will feel very off. You know, there's like something extremely off.
Yeah. Yep.
And I know if I'm out of the momentum, then like almost the priority is to get back on so I can feel normal. Again, you know.
That's right.
Yeah, and I guess I feel that way in programming a little bit, but not in the content creation yet.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm still trying to. Yeah, still in the early stage of like figuring out how to create the thing, how to know that I'm building something interesting.
Yeah.
What is it that I'm creating? What is the output of what I'm creating that is actually useful to other people?
Yeah, I wonder if we think back, right, to where you did your first like Twitter live tweet, whatever it's called. If you did one of those a week up until now, would you be in a better spot content wise? I would say, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the output of doing that once a week would be knowing more what I like. Because I'm not sure.
I wonder if you could figure out that from doing it more.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have more at bats, more reps in.
Yeah.
To figure out what resonates with people, one, and what you actually enjoy doing. You have flops. You have things that didn't. I mean, your first one did bloody great. You know, it's almost like
okay,
but like for the first one, it's like if you would, and that's what I try and think about myself. Like, again, my future self, would he be happy that I kept up with this, or would he be annoyed that I didn't? That's how like with my mate Fabian. I am Fabian Daniel on YouTube. Go check him out. Starting a gaming channel. We've been talking about this shit for 10 years. You know, if you did a video every week for 10 years, you know, that would have been a much, even if they weren't great, it's better to probably do it than to not do it. Right. But again, what's that thing? Like, what's the best time to plant a tree 12 years ago? What's the second best time right now? You know, so it's, you have so much value to give. I want to see that out there, Mr. Francis.
I feel closer because I think what I was missing for a long time was kind of like, you know, you've mentioned this before, like the raw material. You know, and now that I'm back to programming like I was before, now I feel like I have the raw materials. And I feel like I am learning things when I'm doing the programming. I'm learning new frameworks. I'm learning new ways to structure things. I run into problems and I solve them. And I do think that there are outputs of that process that can be useful for others. But it's just like, getting in the habit of noticing that and then getting in the habit of creating something like a shareable content.
It feels like a project, right? Like in a way, it's like a mini project putting out that piece of content. Like even I've got like a bank of maybe like 4 or 5 reels that I've already posted to Instagram that I haven't posted to YouTube Shorts yet. Doesn't take very long, but it's like the mental capacity of writing the description, getting the thumbnail, getting this, and it's kind of prevented me even putting it on TikTok. Like I've just been on Instagram lately, just because I felt that, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do this and this and this and this and this. Go back to my roots, just post. And that's that. And just get it done. And then I've got the bank there. I can always go back, and when I feel like it, I have a spare moment, I can do that. So I feel like even at the posting level, after the content's done, there's that resistance to putting it out there, which is silly. Like, it's out there. That's potential like money I'm leaving on the table.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of dollars sitting there just because I was like, oh, it's too hard. But it's like an energy game. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like, fuck.
Yeah, I think like I have this theory that people will always think that something is going to be that way, the same way forever. Like things are going to be static forever. So it's like, if something, let's say someone's mean to you, then you're going to feel like that person is going to be mean to you for the rest of your life. Like it's like, it's like a static thing.
Yep.
And I think maybe this is what's happening with this. Is like you feel like, and I'm not singling you out, I feel this way too. Like, when you're thinking about putting something on, let's say TikTok, and then, okay, now I have to do the thumbnail. I have to do the, I have to format in a certain way. I have to write the description. You feel like it's going to take that level of effort forever.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're thinking to yourself, okay, am I going to commit to doing this exact thing, same thing with this exact same amount of effort for the rest of my life? And you're like, probably not. Like, no. So it's like that. It's almost like that thought, which you don't really recognize, but it's happening. But really, like, what happens is that thing becomes easier over time.
Yep.
Or you'll find a better way to do it, or you'll realize that, maybe you don't want to do it, and you can stop at any time.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're making that decision to do it in the first instance, it's like you feel like you're making that decision for every instance that's going to happen in the future. So it's like,
I don't want to marry this process.
Who are you talking about, Ben? Yeah, but that's right. Like, you're like, oh, it's going to be like this for the rest of my life. Like, I don't know.
Just wait till I hire an editor and you can do all that sort of stuff. But it's like, comes back to that procrastination, right? It is, but it's like, it's not even... Yeah, it is procrastination, but it's that like resistance thing as well. Like, you should do it and it's going to benefit you, but it's like, for whatever reason, it's like, I think everyone has it. It's that resistance, that war of art, resist to Stephen Pressfield's book. It's always there. It's always at the back of my mind. And I've got this thing, like I've got pretty bad anxiety, right? So I'll find this thing in my head that'll hyperfixate on one thing. And I'm noticing it at the points where I've got to do something, right? It's always at the points of where everything's going pretty well and I've got momentum. And then my little version of resistance is like, oh, what about this thing? Let's focus on that for the next day and just ruin your day. Okay. Oh, okay. You're over that thing. Fantastic. Let's go through the files. Oh, this one. Remember this? Yeah. Remember this from like years ago that you you know what I mean? Like it's just. Oh,
you're not 70% anxious? Well, time to make you 70% anxious.
Let's crank that anxious up.
That's how you're supposed to exist, Ben.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous, man. But it's, So got to work through that shit. That's my own personal stuff. But I'm sure a lot of other people will have something similar going on. But
yeah, I mean, everyone has their own stuff. Like, yeah,
that's it. Outside of content,
where are we going?
What's something you've enjoyed recently outside of sort of doing work and that kind of thing? Something you've bought, something that's, I don't know, just out in Francis's world. I don't know what this is going to be for me, so I've just thrown this on.
I don't know. That's a strange question because I feel like I spend so much energy programming and I enjoy programming. Yeah. Like that's... Even
from the programming side, like, okay, what's something that you've... Even if it's not going to make sense to people, like how could you... Here's an example. Here's a practice. How would you explain it?
Something...
That like helped... Or something that you figured out, or what's one of these aha moments that you're going to write content about?
That's the thing. Like, I remember in the moment, and it's hard for me to recall back. Okay, my mind is very bad at. If you ask me, like, what's your favorite food, what's your favorite memory of some? I can't.
Yeah, I can't do
it. I can't do it. Like my mind won't let me settle on a thing.
It's not a logical question either. I don't think. Like, what's your favorite dish? It depends.
Yeah.
Have I had it for the last 6 days, like the same meal? I'd probably get a little bit old. You know, like, am I trying to be healthy? Well, then this favorite health. You know what I mean? There's so many variables when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd say like for me, like I guess what I've been going deep into the weeds of is like new databases. I'm learning MySQL. I always used Postgres, and I've been using. This is going to get so deep in the weeds.
I love it though. It's our podcast. We'll talk about whatever we want. If you made it this far, we appreciate you. Get ready. Strap in. We're getting technical.
God. Like, so I'm using this new. I'm deep into this whole kind of trend, which is like edge computing. So it's like instead of having servers, you run things on other people's servers, like functions or little pieces of code, and they're kind of limited in scope of what they can do because of a security thing.
Yep.
But it helps you in that you don't have to manage servers. Instead, you're managing like pieces of code, and they run on other people's infrastructure, and they like start up really fast. So there's these things called so there's also this thing called serverless functions, and they're like quite popular. But the problem with those things is that they have what's called a cold start problem. So when you want to run one, it needs to spin up. It can take like a few seconds, and then it can serve whatever request you're trying to serve. And the thing with these things that I'm playing with called edge functions is that they're like run on a different kind of level. So you don't have to spin up a server. These servers are kind of already running, and they start up in milliseconds. And if you can run your infrastructure on these things, then you'll get like huge scalability. You'll get huge, like everything will be super fast, and they can run like on like CDNs, like content delivery networks. So this is like super technical, but like I've been like re-architecting this app that we worked on to work on these edge functions, which is which also means that you need a database that works kind of on an edge function.
So that's the MySQL.
Yeah, that's this thing I'm using called PlanetScale. So they have a driver which you can use in JavaScript, so you can run it on an edge function. So that, because normally you'd have to open a different kind of connection. So you'd need like a serverless or a server to access, because it would use like TCP. It's like so deep in the weeds. But like,
I'm looking at this. This is a Substack article right now. This is all these little key things. What is this? What is an edge function? What is, you know what I mean? Like all this sort of stuff. This is just content, just like pew, 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 pew. Get the transcript of this, throw that into a tweet storm, you're good to go. There's your content. This is fascinating. It's like you're setting the stage of what it is, and then here's what I've done. What our infrastructure was with Keep On in the beginning. This is what I'm working towards.
But even this, like, this comes back to like kind of like, you know, that thing I was talking about where people kind of like discount things to the future. Like, you know, they think that something's going to happen the same way for the future. Like, this is me. Like, I want to do this because I can imagine in the future that if I have to manage servers, then at some point I'll need to like scale up a server. I'll need to like manage multiple servers, and that's going to be a pain. That's why I'm going to like go through this whole pain of like re-architecting the thing to work in a serverless edge function way, so I don't have to worry about servers. Like, it doesn't actually make sense to do, but it makes like it's just, you know, it's tickling that part of my brain for me, and it will save me time in the future, like for sure. But it's just like,
you know what? Throw this on like tech Twitter, and it's going to just start a shitstorm of like,
that's
why
the thing,
should
right?
And shouldn't do it. That's perfect, because it's like not controversial, but it's a discussion-worthy topic.
It is a discussion-worthy topic,
going through the same things. Right? Ask on Twitter, what would you do if da 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 da? You know, or I'm doing this. This is why I think I should do it.
I mean, the main reason I'm doing it is because it's fun, and I like learning new things, right? Like that's the main reason. And it's like, I'm finding like, I don't know if you have this urge, but I have the urge when I'm programming for like elegancy. Like, I want things to fit together in a way that makes sense.
As I started to get better, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's an analogy in art, like for that need for like harmony and elegancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'd say like value structures, like the black and white base drawing or something. Having that all set up, there's almost like a scrappy way to do things, and then there's a more systematic, really well thought out way of doing things. It's going to help you in future steps, or you can just brute force it and just do it on a couple of layers and just go, and then you'll run into problems later. But you've got to fix them, at some point. So, but one takes more effort. Like the more elegant way can sometimes, take a lot more mental effort up front, which seems a little bit like a slog to get, but it sets the stage and the canvas to help you out later on and to make things easier, and you can change things later on.
Yeah, it's like there is that part, like there is the structuring part, but there's also like there's like a harmony aspect to it. I'm not sure. Like
I get that. I get it from I can get that from the programming side. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where it's,
but there might not be an analogy.
Well, we were talking about that the other week about the developer experience.
Yeah.
Making that, knowing that when you sit down, everything's there ready for you, and you know you don't have to wade through a bunch of shit to get the thing working. Or if you want to change something, it's like okay, there goes a day just because I want to change this one thing. Is that part of the elegance to it as well?
Not so much. That's something I am concerned about, in that like I want things to be easy to change. That's very I think that's an underrated thing, to make things, to optimize for like flexibility also, not just like optimal performance or whatever. It's more like, all these pieces are finally like, I found a way to put all these pieces together in a way that makes sense and is like in harmony with like how all these pieces should be put together.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle aspect of it,
This is where someone says you're an artist. I'm like, such a broad. It's like saying, I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. It's like, what? I have an issue with art, or someone calling me an artist. It seems like such a throwaway, broad term, because I see you as an artist, right? It's almost like saying, what? I always forget the word where someone comes into a company and they help out.
Like a consultant.
That's the one. Yeah. It's like, what do you do? I'm a consultant.
Yes. Like,
what does that mean? What does that mean? It's the same like artists. Like I see that idea, because no one's going to see, like, unless you have a team together.
Yeah.
Or you're sharing. No one's ever going to see that. Yeah. But that's art. That's like what Steve Jobs did. Like, I'm not like, this is something just off the top of my head, but his dad always told him to, his dad was building cabinets with his dad. His dad said, always make the back of the cabinet, build that just as well as the stuff that people will see. It's just like a craft of doing things well. And that's where I see like the art or the craft of things. So that's really cool. I love that way of thinking.
I like that philosophy.
Yeah.
Like it's not just for like it's aesthetics, but it's like aesthetics, like, it's not just like the surface level, but it's like the whole thing, you know? Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. It's like, I like that, the harmony between how things work, how they should work, because there are so many different ways of getting things, the output to be similar, even to the user. But from all the back end stuff, it's like, there's another million, like so many different ways to architect things. It's, you're an artist, my friend.
Whoa, thank you.
That's all right. And it annoys me when people call me that, so my apologies if it annoys you, but
I'll take it as a compliment.
There you go. That's
I'll
what
take
you should
everything
do.
you say as a compliment.
Oh, man.
Okay, well.
So you reckon we sort of come to a natural...
Yeah.
We've gone for like an hour 20.
That's a decent amount of time.
Decent amount of time.
Yeah, what did we talk about? We talked about, where do we begin? Well, we talked about kind of how to do what you're doing and how to notice what you're doing while you're doing it.
Yep.
In a way, notice what you're doing that's shareable.
Yep.
And how to make content from it. And we talked a bit about, some things that you do. You take notes.
Yeah.
You let things sit. I think that was a big thing. You don't do it so much in the moment, but you're like consistently gathering information over time and then you let something sit until it makes sense.
Yep.
And then you create something from it.
Yeah, that's it. And going a little bit deeper on how people say enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm.
Just like saying I'm a consultant. It's like, cool. What the fuck does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Enjoy the process. Yeah, I'll enjoy it when I get millions of followers. That's what I enjoy. That's what the perception I reckon. I hear people feeling is like, oh, easy for you to say, you know, like what is enjoying the process? It's like getting excited about getting to that point where we're excited to share the thing because you're proud of it.
That might be one of the most important things. I think it helps you with adhering with it, helps you helps you not burn out.
Yep.
So you can actually do the thing.
Because you're doing the thing because you truly enjoy it and you can't wait to show people, and then that transforms it into a thing that you should do to better your career and whatever, into a thing that you do because it's the thing that you do.
Yeah.
Then we went into the YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
Coming out soon. I'm going to blog post. Like what I've done is I've actually hooked up my Notion database, like my social calendar post to my my social calendar database to my website. So you can see all the ideas that I'm just popping in there.
That's
so
cool.
Like what we're talking about, like putting the ideas into Notion, I've just started to put them all, or like transfer them from Obsidian, the note-taking app, into the Notion database. So it's sort of live updates on my website, and it's got like doing, done, just an idea, working on it, ready to post sort of thing. Like, so you can get an idea of that if you want to check it out, what's going on at any given point in time. That's updated almost, if not daily, like weekly, depending on what I'm working on. So,
Yeah.
I think that was a good one because we weren't here for a couple of weeks. We're back. We came out of our offices, out of our little creative cubby holes, and we're back. And yeah, we'll do it again next week, I reckon.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll have some insights from my YouTube video.
Yeah.
What do you reckon by next week?
I want to at least get in the habit of noticing things.
That'll be interesting. See what you notice.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
So not even posting anything, just noticing some stuff. That'll be cool. And that's something that I've got to get better at as well myself. Like I'm continuing to get better because I'll be doing a sketch note in the next couple of days. I've got to post that in the next couple of days. So that'll be top of mind as well. We're using a roadcaster. I want to do this whole.
Oh my God, what is this button going to do? What button is that? I don't know.
We've got a roadcaster on loan. You might be hearing some music right now. I don't know if you are, if you're not. This is going to be awkward. But I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying getting back into this because I'm missing this. Even the 2 weeks that I haven't done it. Good to be back. And we'll start getting some guests on. Michelle next week.
Yep, next week we'll talk to the people.
We'll make people talk. We'll get Christian on.
Yep.
We'll start lining up some guests.
Oh my God, we're gonna.
Oh yeah, if that's still. Actually we've got Sugar Beats. Sugar Beats has popped in, and I don't think they're in at the moment. But she's got a question. Would you ever do a TikTok of you drawing a kangaroo outside? Because that would be fun. Never say never. But no. Maybe. You never know.
Never say never, but never.
You never say no. I can say never. No, you never know. I think people like genuine art YouTubers, that's a huge part of it, I think. Yeah, the word genuine gets overused a lot, I think. But I think it's just like, I will swear in my YouTube videos. I'm going to do funny things that I think's funny that I'll generally say to my friends. You know, like that kind of humor. And there is a level of performance about it. I'm not going to bullshit and say, oh, this is just 100% me naturally when I'm sitting on the couch. I'm like, pew, pew, you know what I mean? But yeah, putting your own stamp on stuff, I think is like the genuine.
I think that's the big thing, right? Like doing something that is your own. It's not just like copycat or like the same thing. Like it's something that you do because it resonates with you.
Yeah.
You know,
not to say not to get inspiration from others, because I'm getting editing inspiration from a lot of different creators and thumbnails and this and that, and like ways of structuring videos and that kind of thing. But yeah, putting your own spin on it. But this is just number one for me. one of thousands.
Thousands.
So
I like it.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Why not millions?
Well, there you go. Millions over time. I mean, if as long as Google and YouTube are around, it's going to be up there. So it's an appreciating asset, every piece of content that I'm putting up there. So we'll see. But no, it's going to be interesting. Sugar Beats, there isn't enough time to do art. Time goes by too fast. That sounds like excuses to me.
I think she means it more in that like she wants more time to keep doing art. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, there is enough time.
Yeah. I feel that way. Like I feel like there is just not enough time. You know what I mean? Like
it's just your priorities. Someone had a gun to your head and you wanted to do it and they said, do this thing. You make the time.
No, but I mean, like, I'm already like, I just want more time to program, you know?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sleep is annoying.
Yeah.
I always didn't have to sleep. That's fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think we've kind of capped out. I mean, this is my assumption about you, but both of us have kind of capped out what we can cut away, like
mostly
bullshit time.
Yeah.
And we're spending all of it on bettering ourselves or working on a thing or doing something to push us towards a certain goal.
Yeah.
There's not too much that I can strip back now.
Not without burning out, I think.
No.
Staying balanced.
There needs to be downtime. Yeah. There needs to be like going for walks and gym and maybe doing a bit of gaming here and there and watching whatever, you know what I mean? Like got to do a bit of that, hanging out with the girlfriends and stuff. But yeah, there's not too much. I haven't done this for years, but just sit down and watch like TV for like a whole day. That's like unheard of. Like, what a fucking waste of a day. I'd hate myself. I'd have to like double and triple my output the next 2 days to just make up for that one day. You know?
Usually what happens is that you stay up too late one day and then you're just dead the next day and there's nothing else you can do. Like,
yeah, that's the only, that's the only way that would probably happen. Yeah. I mean, I've got like a wedding coming up. So that's going to be like a weekend of fun times. So that's going to be like a time. So I'm like leading up to that. I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff done just so those 2 days I can completely just like let go and just have fun with my mates and not think about work for a little bit. But yeah, I think that we've kind of capped out. So yeah, and then it's just, again, systems.
Yeah, become more efficient.
Yeah. It's actually scheduling in that time and being focused. It's like, all right, I'm going to do this watercolor. I'm going to do this wash painting. I'm going to do this digital art on this particular thing. Just get it done and feel good about it and then give yourself a time on it. Bang, 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 done. Like it's, yeah. But when it comes to the content, I'm going to be looking at hiring people. If I can get this YouTube thing down, get more consistent income coming through, I reckon that's my next largest step. Is to get some people on to help me.
I think it just makes sense at a certain point.
Yeah, it really does. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yep, sounds good.
Awesome. All right, thank you everyone for watching.
Yep.
If you've stuck around for this long, very good on you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you a lot.
Yeah.
And this was episode 14. How's that? Not many people. What is it after 4 episodes or 3 episodes?
Yeah, 3 episodes, 90% of podcasts are done.
Oh, look at us.
Yeah,
we're flying. Adherence.
Yeah,
we're taking our own medicine.
That's what you want.
That's it, dude.
All right.
Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Cool.
And we'll see ya.
Toodles.
Okay. Stop the stream. Oh, we need an intro.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're still streaming.
Yeah, stop the stream.
Let's stream. Cool.